Once you've had time to play with your wheel, get a sense for the throttle and the tool arm, you're ready to set up your throwing space. You'll want to make sure that the area you are throwing on can get dirty, as throwing with clay is a messy endeavor. You'll want to make sure you have a bucket with water, and make sure again that the bucket is something that can be used for dirty water. You'll want to make sure all of your tools are within reach, and you'll want to make sure that you're wearing clothing that can get messy. Tuck back any long hair, and you're ready to go. Something important to note is body mechanics while you are throwing. You want to make sure that your body is strong and stable so that it is able to control the clay as you move through the throwing process. If you are standing up to throw, you want to make sure that your elbows are locked into the side of your body. If the wheel is here, my elbows are strongly connected to my core so that my core powers most of my mechanics, and I have very firm control of my hands on the clay. If you are sitting down to throw, the same idea applies, but you will be at a right angle, and you will take your elbows and lock them into your hip crease when you are throwing, and your upper body will want to be directly over top of your clay. You might be asking yourself, how much clay do you start with? Well, your potter's wheel comes with 2 pounds of air dry clay, and I suggest using a ½ pound for your throwing experience as you learn how to throw on the wheel. Your potter's wheel does come with the air dry clay, but you're also welcome to use any kind of clay on your throwing wheel. To prepare your clay, you'll remove it from the bag and rip it in half approximately. The bag of clay is in 1 pound increments, and if I tear it in half, I know I've got close to a ½ pound. You'll want to wedge your clay, which does 2 things. It removes air bubbles from your clay, and it also wakes the clay up to prepare it for use. When you're wedging, you will want to hold the clay with your fingers on the side, pressing down with the palm of your hand, the lower palm of your hand, and then rocking back. You'll want to do that motion a few times until you start to see a little monkey's face in the clay. Once you've done it 2 or 3 times, you can tip it up on its short end and wedge a few more times. Once you have wedged just a few times, you'll want to pat your clay into a ball. Once your clay is prepped, you're going to want to attach it to the throwing wheel so that you can begin throwing your first pot. You'll move the tool arm out of the way, and using a slightly damp sponge, you'll just wet the top of the throwing wheel. You'll then take your ball of clay and press it firmly into the center. Turn your wheel on, ensuring that your throttle is in the off position. And with a light speed and wet fingers, you'll want to create a seal at the base of your clay. Make sure that you've pressed the clay really firmly down onto the throwing wheel so that it doesn't slide off. And if it does slide off, that's okay. It will happen. Just try again. Placing the ball of clay into the center of the wheel, and then with a wet finger, creating a seal at the bottom of the ball of clay. This will help your clay stay on the wheel while you begin throwing.